Now we'd like to start the next lecture. Mr. Yasukawa is a representative director of CoderDojo Japan, CEO of YassLab, and the project manager of Mito Junior. And he's one of the founders of the programming CoderDojo. There are 185 dojo nationwide, and involved in the starting up of the Mito Junior, one of the ecosystem of Mito by IPA. And Ted Rukyo speaker, Developer Summit 2018 under 30. He is working as a representative of these organizations. He's going to talk about the Ruby Rails example, which support CoderDojo, which exists 185 places nationwide. $185, but at this moment 192. Actually, we added 7 places, 192 places or more, but actually if you count the smaller ones, there are over 200 dojo for children, and the Ruby Rails is used in those CoderDojo, and also how this will generate values, and I'd like to talk about this topic. I'd like to go quickly on the company, YassLab, and I came here as a company to give a presentation at the Ruby World Conference, and tens of thousands of people are using this. But CoderDojo.day, that is an open source project of the Ruby on Rails, and we are developing and operating this system. And at the CoderDojo Japan is a non-profit organization and public site, and also involved as the director of this organization as well. And this is not directly related with Ruby, but CoderDojo. Actually, I'm more famous as a CoderDojo. I gave a lecture at the Cambridge University in UK, so I'm a bit famous in other countries as well. Now, CoderDojo. This is a programming dojo for children. This is the Shimokitazawa Open Cafe where we started this CoderDojo. For the first time, you see the atmosphere. Both adults and the children, regardless of their age, they enjoy the programming and the technology, and then do it and make it. So started in 2012, and actually since December 2011 we started the preparation, but that is official opening of the Shimokitazawa Open Source Cafe. Children, regardless of age, in a non-profit atmosphere, they got together to learn technology. It's like a club, circle, association, if you ask for the atmosphere. And this is activity, you may think that this is activity for programming. That may be true, but as you can conjure up image from the school, it's not like a unilateral lecturing from the teacher to students, but we do together, we collaborate with each other and produce something together. So there are 192 or around 200 CoderDojo in Japan, and we make something, and at the various places the people create the products, and they will be shared, and the people would contribute feedback, and that would motivate the creator. this is for children, but actually this is a joy of technology and making things regardless of age. So JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and business programming, Scratch and Biscuit, all of these are included, and regardless of age, here people enjoy technology. This is the number of events since 2012, and the total is 2,600, and 2018 over 1,100 events were organized. And the 20th Shimokitazawa would be counted as one. So probably 3 or 4 events were held per day in 2018. This is a schematic map shown with dots. 43, 44 prefectures, the event have been held with this frequency and the density. And on a regular basis, we hold these events. And these are the photographs starting from the open source cafe, and also programming dojo is held in Okinawa, and also Shimane at Iwami. CoderDojo was held. So at various places, CoderDojo has been organized. But how CoderDojo has been penetrated, and I'd like to discuss the relation with Ruby. Now, it has been successful as it is today. But how and why it was successful, I don't know. But at least the various relationship, and this part is quite important. Personally, I think it's important. I'd like to talk about it later. But Ruby is not a single the factor. For instance, meeting up at various dojo, inviting the guests from the overseas countries, and Shenzhen. We have MakeBlock Japan. We have a partner in Silicon Valley in China, in the city of Shenzhen. And every time we cannot respond to all of the requests, therefore we develop documents. Writing the documents, and the interesting activities are featured. And then supporting technology is a Ruby, and Ruby is a very strong influence to this CoderDojo activity. Now Ruby is a base, but Jekyll and Ruby on Rails are also used. And also WordPress is used for press release, and for the entire CoderDojo Go mode of JS also used. Node.js is used. The left-hand side is for Ruby, and I would like to introduce how Ruby is used. But why Ruby? And this is a simple chart to explain this quickly. This is a sampling of the weekly commitments. For instance, as a private corporation, during the 200 commitments, CoderDojo 26 commits only. So 26 commits screened here. The 22 commits are bot. It's the machine commits. So the 22 is subtracted from 26. So only 4 net commits. So it's 1 over 50 because 4 over 200. So it's about 2%. And the resources are quite limited available, and we need to provide a maximum value with this. So the Ruby, I am accustomed to this, and you can make it quickly, and you can deliver it quickly, and if it's successful you can reinforce, and if it's not you can shut down and recreate. So you can go through the trial and error process that supported the CoderDojo activities This is a dojo cast. The highlight of the dojo activities are highlighted in the form of the podcast. Here's the GitHub hub. The Jekyll is made, and MP3 is directly input, and as a default, the common template is used, and then the casted out to the wider community through Dojo Cast. I don't know whether it could be successful or not. Therefore, we cannot deploy widely. Therefore, because it's 2 commits per week, that is 2% only. And therefore, we wanted to create a big result with a small resource, effect with a small resource. This is open source with Jekyll, and it has been merged at various places. And interesting activities. As a person who is one of the founder of the CoderDojo, I walk around and listen to people's views in Tohoku and Hokkaido, Kyushu, Okinawa, Shikoku. Not all of them have interesting the activity. This is Hiroshima, and the dojo in Hiroshima was created this way. And what are the background feeling? This is Saitama. It looks like the interview, but I'm smiling, so don't be worried. And it's not an interview under pressure. And this is CoderDojo mentors and operators are together with me and asking questions. What is the motivation? Why did you start it? And ask questions. And for instance, through this kind of interview, people started to learn other activities, and they are stimulated to do more. If it's that successful, then we can improve it further, for instance. For instance, podcast in iTunes, the Apple Post, and you can use XML, and it's possible to register with the Apple Post. And from Apple Podcast, it is possible to make a podcast, official ones. These are the successful cases, but we cannot commit a big resource if we do not know it's going to be successful or not. So this is a half step forward, and if it's successful, we will double or triple it. For instance, I mentioned it has been archived. Dojo Cast is in the Rails, and there's some self-creating system is available. And the Rails web service, this is one of the functionalities of the Rails web. So you try it and see the reaction and go forward. I think this by doing this, you can take advantage of its unique feature. This is CoderDojo.jp. Used to be on Ruby on Rails, but before Parse and Bus was a basic technology and partially Jekyll. And it went through the same history and started with a very small fragmentation with the enlargement of CoderDojo. It became larger to support the community, and finally Jekyll parts have been eliminated. And now, as I mentioned before, this is 1 over 50 resource. The resources are limited, so the resource is only 2%, quite precious. What would you do? With the community, you get a lot of information, including interest one. And you can explore and find the information that you can share. You can use SNS, or in the form of the press release, you can create newsletters, and offshore account can be made. There were various options available. I eliminated some options to concentrate on the area where Ruby technology can be fully made use of. They started with statistics, and various information is output. And 2016, the public cooperation was started up. I mentioned the MakerBlock. That is one of the corporations in Shenzhen, China. And we go through the serious process and the negotiation and the agreement. And finally, we find the mutual benefit. And finally, we come to the stage of partnership. In the beginning, I explained it this way. CoderDojo is quite active. And several years before, there were only 70 dojo, and starting from that, added 5 and 30 and 140, and so on and so forth. And now the CoderDojo is expanding. And so we try to find a partner as a public corporation. For instance, we are expanding, and why don't you join us? But if you are doing the sales and marketing, this is actually not effective.
And they have their own passions, and they may see us. They may see that we are passionate. However, it doesn't give them a reason to support us. And in order to utilize the corporation's resources, we need to be very careful. That's the fact that we are increasing in number doesn't persuade them to support us. So for this challenge, we have to show that you have to try it, you have to see the response, and then we have to do what's next. We have to show the numbers, and sometimes it would give them what we are doing from a slightly distance. So the quantification is very important to involve the businesses. And this is the Weekly Diamond article, or feature articles. And here it is stated that 134 organizations are involved in supporting the programming of the children. So how fast the CoderDojo in Japan are growing, and how many sessions a year do you organize the CoderDojo sessions a year? So if we have to have an answer to answer these questions, but in the past we didn't have it, so we said that, sorry, we don't know, but we have a lot. So we have to exchange information, and we have to complement the data with the data we can collect. And I don't show the details, but one of the most frequently used services are Compass, Facebook, Doorkeeper, and Google Forms. And more than 50% of them are provided through APIs. So many of them are this, and API can be offered by some of them. Then these APIs are used for Ruby libraries and others, so that we can show the numerical data to invite the supporters. And these are the articles we had, or the news release we had at that time. And we would like to show different options from other people. And gradually we are changing the situation bit by bit. Sorry, I'm getting longer. But anyway, how many CoderDojo sessions are held a year? So more than 1,100 sessions a year. And this is the same slide as I showed you. I showed you this graph at the beginnings, but this would give them an idea how popular we are. So technology, we are the technology-oriented programs. We have to show these numbers so that they can understand it. And this is the system we organized in CoderDojo.jp, and this is something we tried, and then we tried to expand our network with other corporations. For example, Sakura Internet would be involved, and they have offered computer server per site, and they are developing the games. So we will offer more than 300 PCs or laptops, and then we would like you to make it available at different Coder dojos. This is used in almost 200 dojos, and children are learning how to develop a program. It's not interesting. And since I'm given an opportunity to talk in front of you, I would like to show you another good example. This is what became available last year, and we have a lot of activities. And yesterday, this is the first time we announced, but Google became our partner, and we are going to work on the activation of the Coder Dojo. So the passion is important. However, our partners, support partners, are really an important asset, and we have to complement that profit each other, and we have to have a system so that we can show what we are doing on the spot, and we have to find the partner supporters for activities. Since time is limited, I would like to tell you that there are many other developmental work we are engaged. For example, this is Ruby, and this is the event news for the future, and we would like to show the participants when the next session is held at where. And also Sakura Internet servers are used, and if we click this website, you can find the activities of Coder Dojo activities, and we are using the Twitters and Facebooks and others. So if you're interested in it, just open it. And we have to try it, we have to see the response, and we have to move ahead. This is what we had to do. If we don't know what would be the future, we have to try to explore with our hands and feet. And if something goes well, you have to build on that. And you have to be cool. And you have to offer the opportunity for learning. And this is what I am talking about, the Coder Dojo. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
ありがとうございました。それでは
Thank you very much. We would like to entertain questions from the floor. Any questions from the floor? If you have questions, please raise your hand. Yes, I will bring a microphone to you. Thank you very much for your talk today. And my question is the following. The dojo, and there are photographs introducing dojos, and there are rather aged guests at Coder Dojo, and seeing it, I have a question. The dojo, you said that it is not limited to any specific age group. And in order to learn the programming, it is not only the children, but also the elderly people are learning how to write programs at your dojo. Do you allow the people over 75 years of age can participate in the activities? If it is a programming dojo for kids, however, we have no limitation in terms of the age. And for this question, I have to make some correction. CoderDojo Japan are not the franchisor of these activities, and there are each individual community has the CoderDojo, and they are independent each other. So CoderDojo Japan are not the organizer of the workshops. And keeping this in mind, each dojo are independent, and each dojo has been independently operated, and we have to see whether the elderly people are increasing in number. It depends. Some of the dojos, yes, and some dojos are open to the elderly citizens. However, I haven't seen everything, but as far as I know, most of the cases, they are visitors. Those elderly people are visitors, but we don't teach them how to write a program. So our target is kids between 7 and 12 years of age. They have a literacy skills. They have skills to read and write, and that's the youngest. And maybe the oldest is 17, 18, around the high school. So basically speaking, we don't teach elderly people how to write a program. However, we would allow for them to observe. Sometimes the school teachers come to CoderDojo to see how kids are learning to program. Thank you.
質問ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much for your questions. Any other questions?
ございませんか。
No questions? Do you have anything to add? Anything to add? Well, and like Google and Facebook, you can find the logos. We are connected to many other people, and in Shimane, CoderDojo has been done at Iwami, organized by the German person. And in addition to this, we have an NPO making the program B, and they are preparing for working with us so that they can organize the CoderDojo sessions. And so they joined CoderDojo, and in total we will have 7 CoderDojos in Shimane by the end of this year. So Matsue or Shimane Prefecture, we have resources for CoderDojo. Progate is one of them, Facebook is one of them, and also Matsumoto-san is one of them. So that's what we are going to do for the kids in Shimane Prefecture, and we can offer a very valuable opportunity for them to learn to write a program. So if you have time, please just drop in to see how they are doing. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please come to him and just exchange business cards and ask questions. CoderDojo will celebrate 10th anniversary next year, right? Yes. I'm not mindful of that, but it will be the 10th anniversary next year. Thank you very much. I hope you will be working successfully.